We're going to lead this compensation breakout pillar. We'll tell you a little bit about the work we do for about 5 minutes, but then truthfully, we're going to spend a lot of this time in groups exercising what does Chicago look like when we've been compensated, right? I think too often we talk about tearing systems down, but we don't talk about what's there after we tear them down, right? So we're going to spend a lot of today envisioning what does that future look like after we get a bag, right? What does our community look like? What it feel like? What we wearing? What the kids look like? So that'll be some of the exercise. But originally, we're going to get started talking about some of the work we've done around modeling reparations in the form of a guaranteed income. At Equity and Transformation, that Rich was saying earlier, we believe in transformative change, right? We're not waiting for nobody to come save us. We're going to do it. We're going to prove it works. And our way of doing that for compensation and reparations was making a guaranteed income program that we led ourselves. That program is known as the Chicago Future Fund. Could we pass some of the books around? So we did 2 rounds of the Chicago Future Fund. What that was $500 a month, no strings attached for Black formerly incarcerated people on the West and South Side. So 130 people over about 2 years, $500 a month. And what did that prove? It works, right? Matt is handing out some books now. This the study we released. It showed, right, the changes, what it does, right? It's not just people going out and having a good time with it. And so what if it is, right? And that helps with mental health. Poor people need to have fun too, right? Like, not just be poor and die. So we did the Chicago Future Fund, $500 a month. And the way we want that work to influence, right, if anybody remembers, Chicago did a form of the guaranteed income a couple years ago, the Promise Pilot. They copied that from us, right? So we were able to have our research team on the inside of that building it out. Just last year, Cook County announced the guaranteed income program for about $7.8 million. That's a permanent program. That was built from this program that we started, right, the Chicago Future Fund. And that's how we want to do it, right? We build it, we show it works, we prove it, we got the research and the study, now y'all pay for it, right? Because y'all are the ones that did these harms, y'all are the ones who did the war on drugs and then came back, and now you're making billions of dollars off of weed and got a whole industry that you're Xing people out of, right? So that's kind of some of our work around guaranteed income and kind of how we move. Matt, I'm sorry I had you walk off right before I passed it to you. Do you want to add anything before we get into the groups? Okay, you want to lead the outro? Want to do the outro?
I can definitely do the outro.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you do this.
I will say one thing that's like, one of the most important things about today is that, well, I'm sorry, I should introduce myself. I'm Matthew Harvey. I'm Matthew Harvey. I'm a research and communications assistant at Equity and Transformation. One of the main things we wanted to bring people here today to do is to do that visioning, but help demystify the idea of reparations. A lot of it is thought of as pie in the sky, so when we're thinking about this, we're talking about it, a lot of it sounds like they just giving people money. Yeah. The truth of the matter is that this does happen in other scenarios, it just don't happen with us. You know, so what I really want to do today is open up our minds to the idea that reparations is possible. That's what's necessary to do this visioning exercise. You gotta get rid of the idea that reparations can't happen, this ain't gonna happen. All right. So I just wanted to go into it, orienting y'all with that, but I'm excited to see how it goes.
Cool.
We're often told that that money can't just be given to us. You have to do something else for that money. You have to do something else for that money. And the truth of the matter is, what we know is that when the Bears Stadium get built, it ain't coming out the billionaire owner pockets. It's coming out of our pockets. They're giving them our money. They're just handing it to them. So why can't you get some of that money, right? So when we're talking about compensation, that's what we're talking about, us getting some of that money. So what I want you to discuss now is what are the problems that compensation will solve in your life, right? What could a guarantee of income, that's what we're discussing, guaranteed income, guaranteed cash in your pockets. What issues would that solve and heal in your life? Can we get a conversation going around that? So yeah. And we got about, I think, 10 minutes before we shift. Yeah. And we're going, I'll say 5 minutes to talk, and then we do a report back for the last 5 minutes. All right? 5 more minutes to talk, we do a report back in the last 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, how's it going, everybody? My name is Adonis. I'm the representative of Group 1. So the first question that we all were asked is, what is a headline that the newspapers will report after Chicago's black community gets its reparations that we certainly deserve? So it seemed like we had a little issue of coming to consensus of what the headline would say, but I will just read a little bit of the things that a couple of us have said in our breakout session. So firstly, one thing that mainly came up was ownership. As far as, I want to answer the second question first, as far as what it will look like to get that money in our pocket every month. Definitely we want to be able to have a situation where this money actually does a good service for us, rather than just being something that we get every month. And someone also mentioned that getting it every month should have interest, so that it's not just 500. It starts at 500 and then it raises from there. Not exactly sure what anybody who's a part of this, pilot program thinks about that, or if y'all felt that 500 straight would be fine, but you already know we got to adjust for inflation. So I do believe that the idea that our sister here gave about putting interest on that 500 would be actually very beneficial for us all. Also, as far as different things we could do with the money together collectively is, one of the members of our community mentioned that we could put that money towards a mutual aid of some sort, a mutual aid fund for the community, so that there are things that we can see in our community that we haven't seen before. On a personal level, I mentioned that I personally could do a lot with $500 simply as a person that has experienced homelessness. Anybody else experienced homelessness before? One of those things that could have been prevented is that last little bit of money, like just in case you have to provide for like a family emergency or something that your child needs. That extra $500 could supplement for that, so that you don't have to cut into your funding for rent, which is some things that I've had to do and have had to suffer from that. As far as the headline, and this is what I'll say, and then I'll get out of you guys' hair. One thing that I would see is that the headline can say something like, there's a complete lack of boarded up houses in Chicago's South Side and Chicago's West Side. So no more, on the way over here, there will be no more seeing of those factories. We could put our money together to either send some lawyers against the owners of those buildings because they have to be held accountable for leaving those eyesores in our community, or we can figure out how we can buy those buildings ourselves, or we could do something beautiful, artwork, like paint those buildings and make it look just nicer than they look currently. With that being said, thank you for your time, and I'll pass the mic back to Brother Matthew.
Sure. All right, we're going to move over to Group 2. Y'all Group 2, right? Y'all 3? Y'all right here, so y'all can come up. Who's y'all's report back person? You ready? All right. So let us know what your headline looking like. Let us know what y'all discussing, y'all.
Hey, y'all. The headline. Oh, she's right there. Period. Thank you. What is it? So we didn't think of a name for the headline, but sorry. Can you hear me now? Can y'all hear me in the back? Okay. So for the headline, I didn't pitch it to the group, but I'm gonna pitch it now. Basically, Soul and Sound of Black Chicago, and then we kind of the thing that we talked about, which made me think of that title, was kind of the fact that we talked about community care, resources, what the other group mentioned, the idea of mutual aid, having each other's backs in that sense, and then collective action. One of our group members was talking about the fact of we should be able to one, know what's happening in our community and what's going on with our community members, and also taking action and help out where we can. And then we also talked about collective accountability with love. Somebody should be able to say hey, yo, you're doing this thing and that's not okay. It's not good for you. It's not good for me to see you do that. And out of love, I'm telling you, you need to stop that. We also talked about generational wealth and sustainability. What does it mean for us to take up space? And that kind of led into the conversation of compensation and why is that healing? And we talked about the fact that it's humanizing. Systemically and historically speaking, Black communities have been disenfranchised. So the idea of us taking the chance to be able to breathe because we know we have wiggle room with finances, that's humanizing. But that also reminds us that we don't have to constantly overwork ourselves to get what we're owed in the first place. But yeah.
Appreciate you. All right, that humanizing part is important. I wanted to lift that up because I don't know if y'all flipped through the booklet that we handed out yet, but it shows you a lot of what we found when we did guaranteed income. We're not just talking about something that's imaginary. We're talking about something that we actually did in this neighborhood. There's people here right now walking around that receive just cash in their pocket for nothing. And in that book, you'll hear about how that brought them into just community. It brought them into just being a person instead of being constantly on this hamster wheel. So if you get a chance, look at that book. If y'all want to come on up. Well, we don't have time to right now, but that's why we had to book it out. But if you get a chance, well, y'all will have a chance. We have pledge cards. We're pushing to make that $500 a month. Guaranteed income, we're trying to make it statewide. So we're pushing legislation currently to move this from something that we did ourselves, to something that the state is running to make sure that all of us get that money, right? So make sure you go up to the eat table, fill out one of them cards to say that you support reparations, you support compensation in the form of guaranteed income, right? Y'all ready? This is the new group 3. Come on. There you go.
Hello, we're group number 4. I'm Patricia. There was a lot to unpack there, but I was really great. I felt really good in hearing the ideas of everybody. But what a headline would look like, because we couldn't pare it down to one, it would say, natural state of being, we take our power back. If you do not have reparations on the table, you do not have our vote. If we don't get what we need, we will secede. Reparations now. That's our headline, for number 1. And then the second part about compensation, it was really difficult because, some people said they couldn't even imagine a number. How can you pay us back? So what that devolved into was feelings of what some of the things that could be done for reparations, and I'll be real quick. One of our brothers said, Black ownership. He liked to see the stores and industries in the Black community. He would like to see Black people own those. Another Mary said she liked to see more love and togetherness and not backbiting anymore. She wants the deletion of jealousy and envy out of our communities. Taisha said she wants to see us rise up more, taking care of each other, knocking on each other's door to see how we're doing. Self-love promotion, that's what she'd like to see in all of our community bases. There was a lack of education, one of our members said. Melinda would like to see Black Chicago own the land and air in perpetuity. With the rise of all the data centers that are going up, she doesn't want us to be exploited in our electricities and all of that, so she would like to see us own our land and air in perpetuity. India would like to see more community control over the land, water, and air in our communities. Angela said she'd like to see mentorship from high school to college. I assume she's going to college and she's scared now. She'd like to see more mentorship so she's not coming out of college with a lot of debt. And then we have, David said he'd like to see politicians give a fair share of the resources, money, land, and all of that to all the citizens, and he'd like to see them held accountable and keep their word. We have 2 left. Durrell would like a whole reparations deal. Restoration, political, education, health, wealth, restoration and justice. And Patty said she'd like us to go door to door, letting each other know we love one another, we're there to support them. She wants the poor, working class, and middle class to come together so that we all can heal the trauma together. And I'd love to see a re-educated Black Chicago that is versed in politics, world history, self-knowledge, wealth, financially sound, mating is when we pick our partners and family. I like us to make really more loving, better decisions. And I like to see us have our own banks, hospitals. I like to see us have our own distribution centers, a portion of the ports on the east and west coast. I like for us to have ownership of our patents, all of our inventions, our music, all of that. And I'll wrap up. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. See, that was real. It was like some dreaming. I loved hearing that. We got one more group. Y'all ready? Y'all go. After this report back, we're going to come back together, and we got a little performance coming up. All right. There you go. You got it. You want me to hold this for you? Gotcha.
Hey everybody, I'm back, Callie. So I was with group 2, and so the name of our theme is Chicago Dares to Imagine. And that is what we thought about when we talk about receiving reparations, you know. And so we thought about how can we protect and structuralize and create guidelines for our reparations, meaning how can we stop the government from coming in, finding a way to disrupt and stop us from getting reparations. We have to figure out ways to protect this reparation payout so we can continue getting it out, continue getting it without somebody coming in and disrupting. That was the first point. It's up there? Can you hear me? Okay, all right, thanks. So the second one is invest in reparations payouts. It says grow your reparations, like invest in housing. A lot of people want to invest in properties, buying properties. Some people want to be homeowners. These are great ways to create generational wealth. These things you can leave to your families as you get older. So I think that's a great way to use your reparations. Also, create, like if you got a small child or grandchild or something like that, you start opening up them a type of college fund, you know, a college account when like they 4 years old. So by the time they get 18, 21, they get, I'm bad with mics. I don't usually use them. So yeah, like when they 18 or 21, they'll be able, if they want to go to college, they can. They don't have to worry about where the money's going to come from. Or yeah, thank God for scholarships, but scholarships are not always guaranteed. But that funding is that you put to the side when that child was a child. And so also, I wanted to talk about our mindset. A brother brought up how back in the day, it was about decolonizing and about the Jim Crow state, how they had black people go against black people. So we gotta re-educate ourselves and unlearn the things that we learned back in the day and learn how to program our way of thinking differently.
It sounds like we had some beautiful conversations over here. I feel good about it. I feel good about what we discussed. And most importantly, I feel like we could take away from these conversations a renewed idea of what reparations can be. A renewed understanding that reparations is possible, and it is something that we should be thinking about together as a community.